Ad paid for by Marjan Philhour for Supervisor 2020. Financial disclosures are available at sfethics.org.
Thank you so much, Marjan, and I really do appreciate the opportunity to work on arts and culture, specifically in the Richmond District. I was actually born and raised in the Richmond District and am a very proud Richmond kid. I actually live on the other side of the park now, but as you mentioned, I have my small business still in the Richmond. It was very important for me to open the art studio in the neighborhood I grew up in to offer that opportunity for local youth, an opportunity I did not have because there were not very many arts and culture spaces when I was growing up. So yeah, art is very important to me. I've worked as a commercial artist and art educator and now a small business owner in arts and culture for I've been working in arts for, gosh, over 20 years now, not to age myself, but for quite a long time. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that is important to the whole city as well as to the members of the Richmond District. The results of the Arts and Culture Neighborhood Survey were overwhelmingly in support of supporting art in the Richmond District, as well as supporting local artists, visual artists, performing artists, musicians, actors, dancers, so that they can remain in the city, let alone in the Richmond District. We as a community, we value what arts and culture brings to our city. We value how it benefits our local corridors and merchant corridors and how it makes our community just a nicer, happier, more beautiful place to live. And that really showed in the results of the survey. One of the things that came up specifically is wanting more public art, and I couldn't agree more. This is something that has come up in the Arts Commission as well, is how can we work to provide outlying neighborhoods with more public art, and that definitely extends to the Richmond District. A lot of our public art tends to end up in downtown San Francisco. I don't think anybody would argue that downtown does not have enough public art. But because of the way the legislation was written, it makes it much harder to get that funding for public art in the Richmond District and other neighborhoods. So I definitely encourage our community to work with the Arts Commission. There is space and value with the community working with the Arts Commission and other commissions to help this cause, help bring more public art to our neighborhoods. And I agree, it would definitely benefit both our community, our merchant corridors, and our neighbors to have more public art where we can see it. And I know that there's a lot of studies that have come out that talk specifically about how doing art benefits our health, benefits our long-term outlook on our employment and our lives. But that doesn't just go with doing art, that actually extends to seeing art. Just seeing art can be a huge stress relief for people, and studies have shown this. And I think right now, especially with everything going on in the world, that's something that is needed. But regardless of COVID, everyone can use more public art in our neighborhood for sure. Something else that came up too is the idea of supporting visual artists, performing artists to be able to stay. I know that's something that has been kind of on the docket for the Arts Commission as well as for city leaders in the past several years, but it is extra important right now. Artists were being priced out of San Francisco, and I appreciate the work that BOBOC has been doing because that is definitely speaking to the ability for artists to remain in San Francisco. Artists and musicians, when you go out and you see an art show or you go out and you see public live music, those are people that live in San Francisco that have to pay the exorbitant rents to stay in San Francisco. And art and culture is one of those things that is a huge part of our city identity and that we really can't afford to lose. It would change the landscape and the culture of our city dramatically if we aren't able to help local creative people remain and be able to stay here and be creative and keep our culture going. And part of what San Francisco is that creative arts and culture center. You know, that we have a long history of being a creative arts center, and we need to make sure that we help that continue. And our neighbors actually agreed wholeheartedly with that in wanting to make sure that we support that. And one last thing that came up, which I thought was very interesting and awesome as an arts educator myself, the neighborhood and the participants in the survey agreed as well that we really should start with the youth, both grade school through college, in helping them activate and engage in the arts. Again, art is huge for how it helps both your emotional and physical health. Believe it or not, just doing and seeing art really does help you physically, emotionally live a better life. And so any way that we can work together as a community, work with our city government, the Arts Commission, to help further arts in San Francisco and specifically in the Richmond neighborhood, I am more than in support of.
Thank you, Susie, and thank you for your leadership too. Respondents did talk about more public art displays in our neighborhood. And I know on Balboa Street, under your leadership and working with groups like Together SF and other local artists, Balboa Street has some really amazing murals on it now. So thank you for your leadership and for your outspoken voice so that and I've seen other murals around the neighborhood, but really appreciate your investment of time and education in that effort. So thank you.
Of course, and thank you too, because I know you've done a lot to help support small businesses, local artists, as well as the effort of us having cultural festivals in our neighborhood. So yeah, so thank you too, Marjan.